Yo, what's up guys, it's AZDA modding team here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a CFG mod menu or mod, or any kind of add-in you like for Call of Duty. CFG is a simple programming language used to create change pretty much any variables in the game. If you ever used a console in Call of Duty, then it's pretty much the same as that, except for, well, this is a file and it's much larger. Anyway, this episode I'll be taking you through the more simple keywords and codes that you're going to need to know to create your own mods. Now, I guess let's just get straight into it. Now, first off, we're going to be starting off with the code ACTIVEACTION. ACTIVEACTION is one of the more important codes in the game. Well, at least a lot of people say they do. You'll see you'll see a few tutorials on how to create CFG mod menus from code, but there's not really a lot of them out there, and all of them seem to say that this is a super important code and you're going to need it. That's not true at all. You don't even need to use this code at all. You can just delete it. But I'm just going to show you what it does anyway and how you can use it. ACTIVEACTION is all the codes that you're going to execute in the first frame. Now, when we have ACTIVEACTION here, we have our little box here where we type in all our codes. So, if I was to put code in here, because I put ACTIVEACTION here, as soon as the game starts, all the code inside of here will run. So, if I wanted God mode, which is unlimited health, then I just type God. That's the code for God mode. That's literally it. So as soon as the game starts, I get God mode. But you do not need to use ACTIVEACTION. It's really not necessary at all. It's a bit more necessary on console. Like if you were to have the message of the day or change the message of the day, then you could just go MOTD or G underscore MOTD, either one, and you can change pretty much anything. And that's it for that one. The next couple of codes we're going to be doing are the ones that you are going to absolutely need if you're going to use a mod, or make a mod, which is bind, set, and VSTR. Now these three codes might look a bit foreign, but they're really simple once you get into them. Okay, so first off, we'll start off binding buttons. I'm gonna create this menu for PC. Everything works the same on console. The button commands will be down in the description, along with a file which contains every single CFG DVAR in existence, which you can download. It's safe, don't worry. I'm not trying to kill your fucking computer. Yeah, so we're gonna be binding a button. So basically what bind is it's setting a button to do a command. So if I bind, I don't know, L, just the letter L, then when I click L, all the code inside here will be executed. Now if I want to have more than one code, so there's code 1, I can just do a semicolon and then do another code. To keep it neat, I'm going to put a space between them, and that still works. It won't affect anything besides the file size, but barely. It won't make a difference really. That's another thing I want to go on about. The length, try not to go over, well, I like to stay within the limits of 50,000, because eventually when it's too big it can get laggy and might even crash your game and not work at all, because there is actually a limit to how big your CFG files can be, which is kind of shite, but it's big enough to make a big menu, which is I guess good. So anyway, so as I said, so when I click L, all the codes inside here will be executed. So if I do God, then that's it. That's literally a mod. So now when I put this into my CFG, I will be given God mode. Okay, so now I've got my config.cfg open. All I'm going to do is copy this code and paste it anywhere in here. I'm going to put it at the bottom, because why not? And there you go, that's a mod. Now there is actually another kind of bind that you can do, which is actually really useful for, I guess, more advanced binds, like bind 2. Bind 2 is the same as bind, except for it gives a secondary bind function. So if I was to do bind W, which is the move forward button, and then I don't know, do it God mode, then because I've binded it to W, that means that W will not make you move anymore, because you've changed it from moving forward to God mode. So now you've ruined it. However, if you do bind 2, then it's a secondary function. So if you click W, you'll get God mode, but you'll also have your walking ability as normal, and it won't affect your walking. So that's a really important thing to know. So never do a bind on a button that you're using. I just want to point out, everything is case insensitive, so you can have text like this and it will work fine. So yeah, so if we have bind L God, then obviously it gives us God mode. But if we had another function where it says unbind L, well then it'll unbind all the functions that L does. You do not have to put unbind L God. All you have to do is put unbind L, and then it'll just undo this, and L will no longer work. That's very useful for when you're making, I guess, scrollers and selectors and that, because while your menu is open, if you had F to select a function whilst you were inside the menu, when you close the menu you can have unbind F, so it no longer activates the function. Pretty useful, and you're going to need it. So the next code that we're going to go, or the two codes that we're going to go onto set and VSTR, which are the main codes now. These are the things that you're going to need to use. So we'll go through set pretty quick. So set. So if I set, and then you can put whatever you want in here. It can be this if you want, but I'm going to have it as function 1. And then in here you put all the codes that you want. So if I want God mode, I'll do another one. There we go. So this code here is basically unlimited ammo. So yeah, so set function and then all the codes in here. So God mode and unlimited ammo. However, this will not be instantly in the game. What you have to do is actually activate function 1, and you can do that by binding the button. So if I do bind L VSTR function 1, then when I click L, it'll go to, because it's VSTR, it'll go to function 1 and then activate all these codes inside of here. I hope that's simple enough. I try to make it as simple as possible. So yeah, that's it for that one. VSTR is really simple, so is set, so is bind, absolutely everything is. Active action isn't the most useful thing on the planet, but it can be useful in a lot of ways, but it's not 100% necessary to use. It is kind of more necessary to use on console because there's a bit more stuff you can do with it on console, but PC, I don't bother with it. Okay. So that's it for the main 3 codes, or the main 4 codes, I guess, if you include active action. Now I'm going to just give you another example or two of what you can use these for. So if I do, you can have multiple binds obviously, so if I can bind L God and bind K toggle player sustain ammo 1 and 0. So basically what toggle does, it will toggle the variable value. So here's the variable player sustain ammo. That's the code for unlimited ammo. And then you have 1, which is on, and 0, which is off. So if you have toggle, when I click K, it'll switch between these two values, on and off. So just think of 1 as on, 0 as off. So every time I click K, it'll toggle from on to off, and on and off, and forever. It'll go on forever. If I had more values like 2, 3, which don't do anything, these don't exist, you can't have 2 and 3 in this, but it will go from 1 to, then you click it again, 2, click it again, 3, 0, and then go back to 1. Really simple stuff, and I just thought I'd put it in there. So yeah, toggle's another really useful thing to do. Okay, alright, so the last thing I thought I'd point out is I didn't mention before is you have your bind and you have your bind 2, and obviously you have your unbind, but there's also unbind 2. When you do a normal unbind but something has a secondary function, then it will not work. So if you have if you bind 2 W and then a function, then if you click unbind W, then this will not make a difference to this, because that's a bind 2, which is a completely different thing. So that means that unbind W will not get rid of this. So you're safe if you're going to use that for anything. Okay, so that's enough for this episode. I hope you learned something, and because these are the more important codes that you are going to absolutely need to know if you're going to create a mod or a mod menu or anything like that to do with CFG. Or maybe you just want to change a few variables, and that's completely fine. It's your fucking game, do whatever. But yeah, I hope you learned something. I tried to make it as simple and as in-depth as possible. The video's been running on for a while, just going over these 4 or 5 codes. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and make sure you subscribe to keep up with the latest content from AZDA's modding team. We do tutorials like this all the time. Even though this is the first video, I am going to be posting much more onto this channel for you to learn and I guess watch. And so I hope you enjoyed, and make sure you subscribe for more and like the video if you've learned something, and if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode.